And we're joined now by our good friend Rod Walker, who of course covers the Saints and is a columnist for our partners at the Times-Picayune. And Rod was out there all 3 days for minicamp with me, slightly hot. But look, Rod, I think the primary takeaway you come away with after watching the practice wasn't necessarily even what Derek Carr did, but it was how much everybody raved about him and sort of how quickly he seems to have won people over in Metairie. Did you get that same feeling?
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think it starts even before they got to minicamp. I mean, these guys, he was texting players, watching film of players, going back. I know with Eric McCoy, he watched a game film from back in 2000, and he saw a play that Eric McCoy made and texted Eric McCoy about the play. And yeah, he's definitely won the locker room over. And it's been guys on the offense and defensive side of the ball have just talked about how much he's meant to this team already and just what he's going to do in the locker room.
It is interesting that when you get a professional who sort of knows how to not just play football, but knows how to be that guy, it really is interesting because we didn't hear any of that kind of stuff last year.
We didn't, and even we kind of talk about Derek Carr even in these, the times we've spoken to him as far as the press conferences, and he says all the right things, and you can just tell that he's really polished and knows what he's doing with this, and I think that could go a long way for the success of this team, that, him winning this locker room over so soon.
Yeah, I do too. And look, we haven't seen him under fire, and he has at times struggled with a pass rush and in coverage. We haven't gotten any of that, but everything is positive so far. Give me one thing, and look, I try to watch practice and see what strikes me. Give me one thing that sort of jumped out at you that maybe you weren't necessarily watching for, but by the end of the 3 days, you said, wow, blank. What's your blank?
I think for me, it's probably Chris Olave. I know on the second day of practice, he made this big catch over Alontae Taylor on the first play, a 65-yard touchdown. And to me, that stood out. But when you look at these mini camps and things, I try not to get too excited about players because, it's pretty easy to go up and make a catch and knowing that a safety is not going to come and hit you. So But he has made plays consistently. They always talk about stacking days, and he's done that.
The one for me, and I think everybody agrees with this, it's Foster Morrow, and it's not even necessarily what he did, and he made catches every day. It's the fact that he really does look close to full speed and seems to be doing things that he shouldn't be doing yet, knowing his cancer diagnosis. His recovery has been stunning and sort of inspirational. Like, I'm seeing him and I'm getting a big smile, like I'm feeling good about life, watching how good he's looking. Do you feel that?
Yeah, if you didn't know his story, you would have no idea that he even, had that diagnosis a few months ago. And he's a guy that I remember when I was covering preps and he was at Jesuit High School, and I still remember this one particular catch he made, a one-handed catch. He's just a guy that I think is going to really help this tight end room, which was one of the areas that this team really needed to improve in.
Yeah, no question. And look, going back to Chris Olave, if I'm finding a negative about this, what struck me was that without Mike Thomas and without Rashid Shaheed, and they're counting on those guys in a big way, and that's dangerous, there is not much left after that. We saw a lot of Keith Kirkwood. We saw a lot of Traquan Smith. The wide receiver room scares me beyond Chris Olave. Agree or not?
I think it does, especially just the fact that, Michael Thomas is still kind of working his way back, but Rashid Shaheed is dealing with a growing injury. I think he'll be fine, before training camp. But outside of those three, you really haven't seen a lot from receivers. Traquan's been pretty inconsistent even in practice. He dropped a couple of passes the other day, so you definitely want to see that room get better.
Yeah, I would agree. And that room scares me a little bit. Although I think if the big three are healthy, I think you're going to be fine. It's just counting on that threesome seems dangerous. And look, Taysom Hill struck me in how comfortable he seems. Look, we've done a lot of stories over the years about, is Taysom Hill happy? You know what I mean? Does he like his role? Is he adjusting to his role? Would he rather be in a different role? This might have been the first time that I have ever seen him just sort of comfortable in his skin right now and looking for ways to expand his Swiss Army knife role, which he is great at. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I did. I think part of it, well, first of all, Taysom didn't come to the OTAs, yeah, which were, voluntary. He didn't come to that. So I think even that time off may have helped him. But, it's kind of funny. I remember asking him the other day about, when he drives to the facility, he doesn't know what position he's going to be playing at. He don't know if he's going to be with the tight ends, the quarterbacks, or where he's going to be. And he's embraced it a little bit more, I think, now. And, he's just willing to do whatever it takes to make this team better. And, we saw him alternate days, basically. He was with the quarterbacks one day, with the tight ends the other day. And he made catches at tight end, the days that we saw him. So I think he's really embraced his role.
And he's a huge piece of this offense work. I talk about the wide receiver room being a little shaky. He is sort of your bonus that can make up for things being shaky.
He is, and I mean, we haven't even talked about the running backs. The running back room looks stacked with Kamara and Jamal Williams and Kendre Miller when he gets healthy. But you add Taysom to that tight end room with Juwan Johnson, who had a solid season last year. I think this team has Derek Carr has plenty of weapons. I mean, that won't be a problem for him this season, and obviously the defense is really good. So I think this team is really set up, and you look at the schedule, it's pretty favorable. I think this team is set up to do some really good things this season.